and you can hear it going past the pits in the background, just makes the best of noises, and it's got faster and faster over the course of the season. So the outgoing Pro-Am champion Anders Fjordback leads at the end of lap 1 from Stefan Rossina in second place, but he's only 4/10 of a second up on Stinus Longchamp in third place. There they are, second and third on the road, fighting for the crown as well here. But as I say, just at the moment, it is advantage KTM. Bert Longchamp is fourth. Michael Vergers goes through in fifth. And then sixth is Gilles Vannelet. Seventh, working up from the rear of the grid, is Luca Piri. Eighth is Alessandro Baccani. Ninth, Maxime Hassad, who made his debut in the championship earlier on in the day and took a debut win with his father, the AM champ Henri Hassid. He won that back in Barcelona, up towards the Mistral Straight chicane. They come then. So the race leaders making their way now up towards the chicane, and as they turn their way into the left-right-left sequence, there is Rossina in second place. So right now, race leader Anders Fjordback is heading then up towards the timing line. There he is, and he's building this gap all the way. Stefan Rossina still runs in second place. In third, Stinus Longchamp. Bert Longchamp fourth. Michael Vergers in fifth place as the cars head towards Virage du Pont once more. To that sharp right-hander. Drop it down to first gear. Now, acceleration is absolutely crucial, getting off the corner. It was here that we saw a Porsche in strife earlier on in the day. Leonardo Guarini's car seemed to break a drivetrain almost, coming off that corner and ground to a halt. There's been a place change in the background as well, because coming up towards the line, it looked as though Luca Piri had dived through, but then look, there's a car stationary, and that looks like Luca Piri on exit. So what I was saying about needing good acceleration out of the corner, it puts a load through the transmission, and that car has ground to a halt. So Luca Piri, who was on the attack into the corner, doesn't really come out the other side. So that car stranded trackside. It seems it's been a really disappointing day for Luca Piri and his co-driver Stefan Rattel, the man behind this championship, because they got a penalty in the first race for pitting just before the window opened, and now it looks like the car has ground to a halt on the exit of the Virage du Pont. Stefan Rossina then comes onto the Mistral Straight, still ahead there, look, of number 11 Audi. Stinus Longchamp at the wheel of it. Anders Fjordback in the meantime is building up the lead over the opposition and trying to make good his escape, and he's doing so. Now, of course, he doesn't just need to try and get a big gap for himself, he needs to build the gap to a greater degree for his slower co-driver Kevin Weider. That's a Pro-Am car. You've got Pro-Am and you've got Am. Fjordback is the Pro. Kevin Weider is derogated as the Am, and that means his pace will not be as good as Fjordback. So the bigger a lead now Anders Fjordback can give his co-driver, the better, especially given that they're going to lose a further 7 seconds in the pit stops, given they were second in the first race, and that's the penalty you get. Through Le Beausset comes the Brabham then now, running deep into the corner, sprinting through the clipping point for the second element. There you can see the fight behind for second and third places, where Stefan Rossina is still just keeping at bay the Audi in the hands of Stinus Longchamp. Longchamp is fourth and dropping back. Michael Vergers fifth, not really making progress. Together they run for second and third places. Stinus Longchamp will have to serve 10 seconds in the pits, whereas the KTM only serves 5. So again, it could well be that over the course of the remaining 43 minutes, that pendulum swings even more convincingly in the direction of the KTM. But for the race lead, it's Brabham all the way. Anders Fjordback goes through, and the advantage he's got now, 3.7 seconds over Rossina, who again is under fire, isn't he? There, coming out to have a look to try to go through, is Stinus Longchamp as they make that run again down towards turn 1. Through Verrier they go, and the speed building now through this next little sequence of corners. You see as they hit the brakes, the noses of the cars dip, crash back onto the ground through the Virage de l'Hôtel. This is the Virage du Camp. And look, you can see the way that Longchamp is trying to go wide in, tight out of the corner, and then get the undercut for the next turn. But is it going to work for him? I fear not, because Stefan Rossina goes defensive. This is the battle for second position, and Rossina is having to take slower lines now. He's having to be more defensive, but it's working. He is at least keeping Longchamp at bay. The Brabham then still leads the pack up front. Heading now into the chicane. Anders Fjordbach getting away thanks to this great scrap that is going on behind him. And then for 4th and 5th places, Bert Longchamp and Michael Vergers, similar cars but run by different teams. The high-class racing effort of Michael Vergers is the same team, therefore, that operates the Brabham. An incident between Luca Piri and Gilles Vanelay, no investigation necessary. So that would appear to be the dive I was referring to in the background. Piri trying to get past Vanelay, contact made, and the net result is that those two cars are out of the race. So the race leaders work their way into the right-hander of Virage Dupont. Up towards the end of the lap comes Anders Fjordbach. There he is. For second place, Stefan Rossina still trying to keep Longchamp at bay. And as they brake now into the Virage Dupont, the margin under braking comes down just a fraction more. But again, it's all about the drive off the corner, and this is where the KTM light car seems to have the advantage. Down towards turn 1. So the KTM hanging on to that second place. And for third, you've got Stinus Longchamp still hunting along that KTM, but not getting close enough. And Fjordbach up front is continuing to put in fastest lap after fastest lap and build the advantage. Another thing the drivers have got to cope with in this race that they didn't this morning is the setting sun. So as the race goes on, that sun is going to be getting lower in their eyes. There are certain parts of the racetrack where it's going to be really difficult. And of course, the second driver in, who will be the AM, is going to have to take the cars to the very end when that light's going to be even lower in the sky. Fjordbach then presses on. The Brabham quivering under braking as it heads up towards the chicane. Stinus Longchamp pulls out, thinks about making a move. It's more perhaps to try to unsettle Rossina, and therefore it doesn't work as they get into the chicane itself now. Back onto the power, haul the cars out the other side. 10 minutes done, 1/5 race distance completed. And so KTM heads Audi for second and third places, and Longchamp again is on the attack. This time he goes to the inside line to try to force a way through. Still can't do it. Through Le Beausset they come then, this very, very long right-hander. There are two distinct clipping points to it. That was the second, and you see the way that the Audi accelerates in between the two. Now Vergers all over the back of Bert Longchamp. That gap has come right down. It was 9/10 of a second at the start of the lap. It's much, much reduced. Anders Fjordbach continues to hold sway up front. They're a second and third then, almost as one. And having said the gap had come down 4th to 5th, Vergers has dropped away again, coming through Bandor. So down towards Virage Dupont they come. And the KTM hangs on to that second place. Now back onto the power. Up towards the timing line they run. While they're squabbling like this, while Rossina is having to go slower, go more defensively, what that is serving to do is allow Anders Fjordbach the chance to pull away. He's now 7.8 seconds to the good, which would cover off the extra time he needs to spend in the pit lane. For Rossina, that place, as you can see, ahead of Longchamp, who again is really quick coming out of Verrier. Out of turn 1 and 2, then nose to tail they run, and now Longchamp very definitely is on the attack then. This isn't just for position, this is for the championship. Together they run down towards the Virage de l'Hôtel, now to the Virage du Camp, and now Longchamp looks at the inside line, he's up the curb, takes the floppy marker. Do they lean on each other? Oh, so nearly they do. Rossina gets run out wide, and now Longchamp goes through. They didn't make contact, but it was a bit robust from Stinus Longchamp, and Stefan Rossina had to really give way for fear of contact. So Stinus Longchamp does go through, does take the place, and now we'll see whether Stefan Rossina can come back at him. And a big cloud of smoke from the back of the Audi. Rossina makes his move on the inside. Now what is the smoke all about? It subsided. So has Longchamp got a problem? What was it all about? Suddenly a big puff of smoke. Bert Longchamp goes deep into the chicane. So Stefan Rossina is back ahead of the Audi. But does that now have the start of a mechanical problem? It can't be tyre smoke because it's disappeared. It looked as though it was just going down through the gears, that suddenly this big puff of smoke came out of the back, and Stefan Rossina has gone back through. So Langin falls to third, but now potentially with a question mark over him. There's no further suggestion of smoke, is there? It's almost as though he gave the place back to the KTM for fear of any penalty that might be looming. And now, look, he's back, although all over the curb, on the tail of that KTM, wanting the position away again. And no more smoke since we last looked on the Mistral straight. A warning flag, a driving standards flag now for Stinus Langin for the rather robust move down at the Virage du Camp. So the officials are wise to this. Yes, they understand that it's championship stakes here, but equally, clean driving is what's required. So the leaders come through, and at the end of lap 6, Anders Fjordbach has an advantage which is getting bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. And now, look, 4th and 5th are catching back up again. So Stefan Rossina goes through. He is in 2nd place once more. 3rd, there you can see riding shotgun Stinus Langin, and then a tiny gap back to 4th and 5th. Bert Langin just up the road ahead of Michael Vergers. Some rather concerned faces watching on in the pit, seeing what's panning out. But Anders Fjordbach, meantime, is looking oh so strong up front in the Brabham. Stinus Langin not close enough this lap to make a move, so he's got to sit there, slot back in behind. Through they turn once again, back onto the power now. Reports also of number 11 having, and you saw it, clobber the bollard down at turn 5 when he took that very tight line up the curb, Stinus Langin. So the car having hit the bollard, that's been reported. Now the race officials will look to see if anything needs to be done about that as well. However, for 2nd and 3rd, the two drivers fighting for the championship are together, now going up through the chicane. Stefan Rossina doesn't have the pace to shake off Stinus Langin. And Nicolas Salines will take over that Audi in the 2nd stint. Philippe Sladecka will take over the KTM. Bert Langin 4th, Michael Vergers still 5th as the cars now head towards Senior once again. In the early evening air, 6:10 it is local time, so things are getting a little bit cooler. And there, with the sun in their eyes, the drivers come through Le Beausset, back onto the power once again here. Fjordbach is a distant dot in the distance. Now he's just getting further and further and further ahead. And another warning flag for Stinus Langin. He's totting them all up here. Another warning flag for twice exceeding track limits. Langin's got to be careful here. That car could be heading into penalty city. Fjordbach leads the way. The Brabham, again, screams its way past the pits. The Cyclops-style Brabham with only really one headlight working now. But Fjordbach goes through. And on that lap, he did an absolute best in the last sector. He's going to give Kevin Weider a really big lead now, especially with Rossina having to fend off Langin. 12.5 seconds it is, 1st to 2nd, and then it's 2:10, 2nd to 3rd. So Stefan Rossina fending off the Audi as he needs to do for the championship. Philippe Sladecka, his co-driver, has not done every race with him this year. So Sladecka starts, of course, unable to win the championship. All he can do is take race wins and help Rossina to the title. And he didn't help him much in the first race by a spin here on the opening lap. But now Rossina is fending off Langin, who again is tucked under the rear wing of the KTM. Heading towards the Mistral straight goes the experienced Stinus Langin, very successful in Porsches, champion in the Belgian Endurance Championship. He switched to GT2 this year, and in the PK Car Sport Audi, fending off his father, looks to the inside line, makes his move again for 2nd place, brakes as late as he dares, coming into the chicane, and Stinus Langin goes through, goes into 2nd place. That was a good pass, because despite being late on the brakes, he got everything slowed down in time. Didn't run out wide, didn't clobber the curb, so good move by Stinus Langin. And now we'll see whether he can pull away or not. I suspect he will, given the way that he'd been gobbling up the gap early doors in this race onto the tail of Rossina. So now, released from behind the KTM, off he goes. The KTM is light, but around here, maybe it's sheer horsepower that you need, and that's where the Audi and the Brabham come into their own. But Sladecka, we know, is very quick indeed, and you put him up against drivers in the second stint. It's going to be interesting to see, again, how the dynamic of this race potentially changes. But Fjordbach, he's looking mighty up front right now. The pit window is between 20 and 30 minutes, so we've only got a couple of laps, really, before the pit window can open. But again, where you've got your quicker driver in first, expect them to make the most of their stint and stay out for as long as they can. It's the sensible option to therefore make sure that you give your co-driver the best chance of winning the race. The leader has gone by, so Anders Fjordbach goes through. He's lapping consistently in the 2-minute 6s, whereas 2-minute 7s, 2-minute 8s for those behind. Longchamp, best lap of the race for him now, personal best lap. So again, now that he's in clear air, not being held up by this KTM for second place, not having to look for a way past him, he's able to push on. Now remember that the Audi will have to serve 10 seconds in the pit stops. It won race 1. Only 5 in the pits for that car, which was 3rd in race 1. So right now, Audi 2nd would give that car 196 points, and the KTM 3rd 196 points, and the Audi would win on a tie-break with 5 wins to the 4 of the KTM. So it's a very, very tense situation right now. All of these computations will be being done by the teams. They'll be trying to relay the information to the drivers, but really the race is going to be out of Rossina's hands. He's going to have to rely on Sladecka, as there's a bit of debris there lying in the middle of the road as they come up towards the chicane. Into the left, into the right, into the left will come Stefan Rossina. German GT racer, Porsche Super Cup racer, experienced campaigner of GT-style cars over the years. And there, the team of Henri Hassad look on. Maxime Hassad, currently at the wheel of the car, down in 3rd in the AM category, which is being led by Gilles Vannelet, who didn't get very far in race 1, and Alessandro Baccani, who is in 2nd place, as deep into Le Beausset there. Look goes the 2nd place Audi of Stinus Longchamp. Gets back on the power, drags the car out the other side. Fanatec GT2 European Series race finals, running as part of the SRO Racing Festival, which is action on track from absolutely the crack of dawn to virtually midnight, with races going into the darkness tonight, with practice sessions going on into the darkness yesterday. There's going to be a dinner break, but then Renaults and other GT cars and touring cars on track tonight until about 11:30. So these cars get a relatively early finish. Down towards turn 1 then goes Longchamp 2nd, Rossina 3rd. That gap is up to 1.7 seconds. The pit window will be open within the next minute, and as Fjordbach has done the fastest lap of the race. So the drivers now getting themselves ready to go. Philipp Sladecka will take over this car, and it runs currently in 3rd place. So in a way, it makes sense to get Sladecka in, because if his pace is going to be good, then switch over from Stefan Rossina. Sladecka took a pole position for his race, so we know he's quick, and put him in so that he's well into his groove once the likes of Kevin Weider and Nicolas Salines take over the other cars that are ahead. So the second part of this race is going to be really intriguing. So the pit window opens now. The race leaders head into the round to the seniors right-hander, and of course the chicanes put in to break up the speeds, and that is as much because some of the drivers are AMs, and less experienced drivers arriving here absolutely flat out might not always be a good idea if they suddenly have a drama and their inexperience catches them out. So the chicane is put in for safety reasons, really, to slow the cars down for top-line GT3 racing. It's the full Mistral straight. Driver changes cycling through. The first car in, look, is number 17. So that is Hubert Trunkenpolz to give way to Klaus Angerhofer. That car 9th when it came in. So KTM's distinctive bodywork that goes up and forward. Thread your way between the roll cage. The drivers can lean over the top to strap the co-driver in, or in this case the mechanics can do that. It's interesting to see again how different teams do this. Sometimes it's very much the driver out, helping the driver in. Other times he walks away and lets the mechanics do the work. And into the pit lane now comes Stefan Rossina to give way to Philipp Sladecka. So that means that now it is Stinus Longchamp having to think no more about this car behind and concentrating on what's ahead. Out gets Rosina in clambers. Filip Sladecka delicately gets his crash helmet underneath the roll bars. Belts past to him, straps himself in. And so this car of Anders Fjordbach expects to stay out for another 3 or 4 laps if he can manage to do that, because he wants to give Kevin Wheeler the biggest possible lead. Second will be Stinus Longin. Third now Bert Longin. And fourth Michael Vergers, all of whom are staying out for as long as they can for their co-driver's benefit. But Sladecka in for Rosina early is the interesting bit here. The Brabham back onto the Mistral. There, into the pit lane, Maxime Hassad to give way to Father Henri, this year's AM champion. 93 seconds, remember, plus any success penalty picked up in race 1. Away now goes Filip Sladecka. What the team's got to be mindful of here is making sure that as he drives down the pit lane at the correct regulation speed, he breaks the beam at pit out, a 1/10 of a second over the regulation time, not under it. Henri Hassad then with now 7 wins in class this year, set to go. Door closes. That car being run by the LP Racing team, Luca Piri's team. And Henri Hassad, who spent the bulk of the year on his own, but for this final weekend, racing with his son. Here comes the Fjordbach Brabham and stays out, avoids pit in for at least 1 more lap. A real fan favourite, the Brabham. You can hear why. Another lap in the book, and so now as we wait for Stinus Longin to come through, this car will serve 3 seconds fewer in the pit lane than will the chasing Audi. The margin between them is 13 seconds, so the Brabham should still be good to hold on to the race lead, but now we need to factor in the first flying lap from Filip Sladecka once that car has completed its outlap. Fjordbach wriggles his way down now towards turn 5. Up through the gears, a lift into Saint-Baume, back on the power out the other side. Grabs a gear onto the Mistral straight. Speed building all the time now on this run up towards the chicane. Clobbers the curb on the inside. So onto the continuation of the Mistral straight goes Fjordbach. That is Nicolas Salines, who is getting ready to take over from Stinus Longin. And Fjordbach leaving nothing on the table, is he? Wheel up the curve. He's done the fastest lap, a 2 minute 6.3. His last lap was a 2 minute 6.9, so he's been pretty consistent in the times. Comes up through Bendor, back onto the power, and with 25 minutes of the race to go, we've just tripped over the halfway mark. Let's see whether Fjordbach is prepared to come in now or try and squeeze 1 more lap out of this. It's going to stay out, so another lap in the book it will be for Anders Fjordbach. You don't actually have to complete the pit stop before the window closes, just be in. So again, the car flat chat over the timing line. Now there, number 24 is Gilles Vannelet. He's the leading AM at the moment. First time we've seen Gilles in the championship in a KTM this year, but he's going nicely. Got caught up in dramas at the first corner of race 1, so hasn't really had much track time today. A class win in race 2 would rather make amends for that, wouldn't it? So there, 24 Gilles Vannelet down towards the Virage Dupont. And over the timing line with 24 minutes to go. So 5th overall, and as I say, leading currently in class. Into the pit lane comes number 81. So that is Bert Longin to give way to Peter Gulinks. So the driver changes, cycle through. Another one being warned about track limits currently is Klaus Angerhofer. But Anders Fjordbak, the Danish driver for the Brabham Automotive Factory Racing Squad, the car being run by the high-class racing team, continues to pull clear up front. 14 seconds currently the margin, so that should be easily enough to consolidate the lead for Kevin Wieder going into the second stint. Now, we have got Filip Sladecka behind the wheel, and he, in the KTM number 15, is on his first flying lap since he took over. So the outlap has been done. This is the one we need to look at when he comes over the timing line. Fjordbak, first of all, he's going to make a call in a minute as to whether he tries to stay out for one more lap or comes in, and he's going to stay out for one more lap. It's going to be marginal. He will do it, but it's going to be close. Through he comes, up towards the timing line once more then. So Fjordbak continues to dominate. Also staying out a long time, Stinus Longchamp. We await for him to come in to give way to Nicolas Salines. And there, into turn one, goes number one Brabham. Anders Fjordbak, the reigning Pro-Am champion. He won it last year with Mark Patterson in an Audi. And he's currently 15 seconds to the good. Stinus Longchamp staying out for another lap just as Fjordbak is, so shadowing him. What they should be thinking about, of course, is covering off the pace of Filip Sladecka, whose first lap was a 2 minutes 10. That's not that quick, actually, relative to those around him. So Filip Sladecka giving away time rather than gaining it back at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do as the stint goes on. There you've got the Brabham, the race leading Brabham. It's done the best lap of the race, a 2 minute 6.3. Its last lap, in fact, was 19 thousandths slow than its absolute best. That's how consistent Fjordbak is being, which is quite extraordinary. Nicolas Salines is ready to take over number 11 Audi. And it's going to have to be this time, otherwise they are going to be penalised for stopping outside of the window. So the Brabham up towards Senior, into the right hand, and the road climbs a little bit here. Turn through the corner. Just as you take a deep breath thinking, I've done it, I've got round the corner, you've got to concentrate on this next bit, which is rather deceptive for the drivers, they say, because of the amount of the high friction paint that is down. You're trying to judge your reference points, but all you can see is this sea of red, white and blue lines, the paint put down with the different colours being the different level of friction, and all of that, rather than putting in gravel traps, is to try and stop spinning cars from going too far. Into the pit lane comes the race leader, so Anders Fjordbak times it absolutely beautifully. 33 seconds on the clock as he gets to the pit-in line. The car pops and bangs its way down the pit lane as it now goes onto the limiter. In the background you can see 88, so Luca Piri did get going again, but has now come into the pit road. So that car delayed, but has got going and is still circulating. But Fjordbak comes in now to give way to Kevin Wieder, the American driver. So Misano winners, they're looking for a second victory of the season. And the Brabham arrives now at the team. Kevin Wieder rushes around the car. And as Fjordbak already out and walks away. So again, come back to an earlier point. One driver out, that's it, work done. Doesn't turn around, go back to strap in the co-driver. He lets the engineers do all of that. So there's no quick opportunity to say, bit greasy at turn 3 or mind the curb at turn 8 or whatever it might be. It's a decision to walk away. My job's done. Now it's over to you. And on that lap, just to prove how quick he is, Anders Fjordbak did an absolute best in the first sector, coming into the pit lane at the end of that lap. But even though it wasn't a full lap on the road, it started off quicker than anything else in the race. So work done. Anders Fjordbak's stint is over then. So at the end of the pit stop cycle, we'll start to get a proper idea of the order. We've got into the pit lane as well Stinus Longchamp. We've got Michael Vergers in as well. And there, burbling away, ready to go, is Nicolas Salines in number 11, last away. So down the pit road goes the Audi, and Kevin Wieder should be out as well, although the Audi, don't forget, had to serve an extra 10 seconds. The Brabham looks like it's still there, which either means it's a slow stop from the Brabham team or it's been a very quick stop from PK Car Sport. There's the Brabham that has presumably had a problem in the pits, because it's fallen behind Salin's and it's fallen behind Aurelius Rustica's Audi as well. So all of Anders Fjordbach's hard work has come to nothing. What we're not getting is a pit stop time for that car, but you can see the outcome. It has fallen way, way back in the pack now. Now, granted, it had to serve 7 seconds, whereas Audi number 5 didn't have to serve any, but it shouldn't have fallen back behind the Audi number 11, because that car had to serve a longer pit stop. So something has gone horribly wrong, it would appear, in the pits for the Brabham. Stinus Longchamp then has done his work for the moment. All he can do is sit and wait and monitor the order, monitor lap times, and see where his car is relative to the KTM. Right now, it looks like it's ahead. But it's where they finish, of course, and the points scored that are going to be of interest. With 17.5 minutes still to go, in the background, Filip Sladecka is hustling along. He's behind Peter Gulinks, and Gulinks is the teammate in the sister car to the Longchamp Salen's entry, and you saw there Sladecka trying to make a move on the inside line. You're looking at the Brabham, but it's what's happening behind that's important. Coming back onto the Mistral straight now then. Let us see whether it's going to be Audi or KTM. We wait for a flash of the next bodywork. And it's the KTM ahead, so he's done it. Filip Sladecka getting himself up past Peter Gulinks. So at the end of the lap, it should be in the lead of the race. That car, number 11, now with Nicolas Sailins at the wheel of it. Second, I reckon, is going to be Aurelius Rustica. And then third, Kevin Wieder. Fourth is going to be Sladecka, and fifth is Gulinks. So if we get Filip Sladecka up into fourth, and we have the Audi into the lead of the race, that is going to be enough to give this car the championship provisionally. We are, of course, not done yet. Over the timing line goes Nicolas Sailins then. He does lead the race, and now we'll start to piece together gaps. In second place, it is Aurelius Rustica. Third, Kevin Wieder. Fourth, Filip Sladecka. Now remember, Sladecka is already into a stint. He's 2 or 3 laps into it, so he knows what the car feels like. He knows what the track feels like. That's the advantage of putting him in early. Does that give him an advantage over the rest who are still playing themselves in? At the moment, yes, you would say it does. This is Sailins coming down towards the Virage de l'Hôtel. Locks up there, gets it up onto the curb. Hits the brake, turns right. Little bit nervous on the throttle. Turns now through that long right-hander of Saint-Baume. Flicks left onto the Mistral once more. So, Audi leading, that will be 203 points. KTM fourth, that will be 193. It's championship at the moment to this car. In a straight line, that Audi very, very rapid indeed. Look behind, Rustica has then got Kevin Wieder behind him, but here comes the KTM. This is where Sladecka comes into his own, because he's quicker than the co-drivers around him. He's a more experienced driver, he's a quicker driver, and now he's got to be on the prowl. If he can get up into second place, though, he would still end up losing out. Come what may, Audi number 11 pretty much has got to win the race here. Got to be in the top 3, got to be ahead of the KTM. So now Sladecka is a little bit stuck in the traffic. Way out wide at Senior. He wants the inside line into Le Beausset, can't find it. And the danger is here, he gets caught up in a scrap. He's losing time all the while here. He's going to have to try and force a way past that Brabham, but in turn, Wieder is trying to get out past Rustica. Really frustrating for Sladecka. He's being delayed, he's being hampered. This is Kevin Wieder trying to get up the inside. It didn't work, he is slow. Rustica slightly offline. The Brabham attacks again now, look, as they come up through the Virage de la Tour. And Sladecka stuck behind them. He's in danger of tripping over them. He's got Peter Gulinks coming back at him. Now Sladecka tries to commit to the inside of the Brabham. Still can't find a way through. Now Nicolas Sailins being warned about track limits as well. But a really frustrating lap this for Sladecka. He's not got through the traffic, and he's got Gulinks breathing down his neck. Sailins goes through, and he's now 10 seconds, call it, to Aurelius Rustica. And that means that it's 10.7 first to fourth. Filip Sladecka knows exactly what he's got to do, and that's get through the traffic as quick as he possibly can. Can't do it yet. Second, third, fourth, fifth, quarter of an hour, and counting remains. Teams looking on Championship aspirations on the line as off the road there goes Kevin Wieder. Shortcuts the road at turn 4, but still Sladecka can't get past him. He's going to have to line it up for a go. Coming now up towards the chicane, surely. Aurelius Rustica, class winner at Imola, hangs on to second place now. Out wide goes Sladecka, goes to the inside line. This is the best opportunity yet for the KTM to get up the inside and go through. Rides over a little bit of debris that's flicked into the air. Peter Gulinks tries to get past Kevin Wieder also, and is for third place. It's going to be a KTM. Yes, it is. The Brabham survives in fourth. That Sladecka finally has gone through. It's taken him a lap and a bit, but he's done it. He's gone by. Kevin Wieder, after that slow pit stop, comes under renewed attention from Peter Gulinks now, with 12 3/4 minutes on the clock. Uphill, turn right, and a very happy team then celebrates that pass. Team True Racing operating the KTMs. But they know this isn't yet the championship. So that puts Sladecka up in the third. And drama because he's off the road. Philip Sladecka is off the circuit, and was there some help? He got caught up with Rustica by the look of it. So that means that Aurelius Rustica's car's got damage and got a problem. You can see that clearly. And Philip Sladecka is off the road, and has he got going again? It looks as though Sladecka has got damage. Let's see it. There is contact between the two. Need to see that again, I think, but looked as though the two made contact going into Le Beausset. And so what that has done now is gift wrap this car the championship. Stinus Longin, Nicolas Salines through in the lead. And I'm waiting to see. Aurelius Rustica comes into the pits out of second place. Third is Kevin Wieder. Fourth is going to be Gulinks. Fifth is going to be Vanelay. And they're going to gain the place anyway. And Philip Sladecka is stranded. He's not come through. So that contact between the pair of them into Le Beausset has done for the KTM. So just as that move had been secured, a corner later, out of the race. And there is the Brabham by the look of it. That's a big hit coming out of turn 1. So Kevin Wider's car off the road. And was there contact, or does he just lose it? Well, it looks like he's just lost it, but we didn't actually see the contact against the barrier there. So there you have the number 67 car coming through. So the car of Maxime Hassad down through Virage du Camp. It is now Henri Hassad, his father, at the wheel of it. So we've got yellow flags in sectors 1 and 3, but there's debris on the road as well. It would not be a surprise if this race were not neutralised now to try to clear up the dramas coming out of turn 1. So Kevin Wieder goes off to scoop up his own bodywork. That's the ultimate ignominy, but well done for actually clearing the track, Kevin. But having lost it, it was a bigger whack, and the safety car is being deployed. Safety car on track. So with 10 minutes to go, this time eats into, of course, the overall part of the race. So the safety car laps will be counted within the 50 minutes, but Alain Adon, the race director this weekend, calls for the safety car. And so it's going to scoop up the race leader, Nicolas Salines. And there is the sorry sight of a broken KTM and a championship dream for Stefan Rossina out of the window. So big disappointment after we had Philip Sladecka carving his way through traffic and being caught up with Aurelius Rustica. Damage between the two. And it's cost the KTM a chance for a finish. Rustica is in the pit lane. Perversely, it's given Gilles Vanelay now not only an AM class lead, but also second overall. That is Maxime Hassad, who comes down towards the Virage du Pont. So that car's second in class. But he's about to gain places overall, of course, with the demise of one or two others. So there, the car slows as the driver responds to the flags. The the Brabham will need removing, any bits of debris will need removing. It's probably a chance also to get the KTM off the line over on the far side of the circuit as well. So a sort of general clear-up operation called for by the race director. We've not had that many uses of the safety car today, but here's one. There's the safety car on track then. It picks up Nicolas Salines, who is probably going to be content now to just sit there. And there's another car stranded, look, and that is 81, isn't it? So that is Peter Gulick's Audi that has ground to a halt. Now, did that get caught up with the Brabham? As the Brabham spun, that was the car behind it, and I suspect collided. We've not seen the replay, but I suspect that collided with the Brabham, and that's why that car has got damage and is out of the race. If you finish this, you're going to be on the podium. That's Bert Longchamp, who's just seen the damage to his car. So we've now got only 5 still circulating, I think. There's one of the retirements, a very battered Brabham. Kevin Wieder trying to help the marshals get the car off the road. The incident between 1 and 81 has been noted by race control. Let's have another look. So it's hard from that angle to see whether there had been earlier contact, but I don't think there was. There goes the Brabham, and the Audi, boom, into the front. And that's why there was so much debris, because it was a massive hit on the front of the Brabham, which will have broken the suspension as well as bodywork. And Kevin Wieder, very frustrated, but having the presence of mind to go and retrieve big chunks of bodywork. So that's why Peter Gulick is out of the race. That is why Kevin Wieder is out of the race. At full marks for going to retrieve the bodywork, Kevin, well done. So Gulick's Audi out as well. KTM stranded by the side of the circuit. Audi of Aurelius Rustica in the pits and going no further. And Stefan Rattel's car catching back up now at the rear of the pack. 6.5 minutes are on the clock. Championship won by Nicolas Salines then and Stinus Longchamp. So there is a very frustrated Peter Gulick, and he will head back to the pit lane to explain to Bert Longchamp there was nothing he could do. Philip Sladecka will have to go to explain to Stefan Rossina exactly what happened between him and Aurelius Rustica. And all of a sudden, all of these recovery vehicles being put to good use. So the yellow flags wave. You know the format for a safety car period. You hold station, you can't overtake. It allows the race to continue, albeit under controlled conditions like this. No investigation necessary, say race controls officials, between Kevin Wieder and Peter Gulick. Wieder spun, Gulick had nowhere to go, so we've had a look. That's that. Thank you. That's what's left of the front of Peter Gulick's car. You can see again the wheel jammed, the wheel buckled, and that car dragged out of the way. That's going to be a very flat-spotted tyre on that broken wheel rim now. So with 5 minutes and change and counting, the cars turn again down through Verrier, and the race director will try and get things going as quickly as he can, but a safety car lap is about 4 minutes, so we're not going to have really much opportunity for more than one racing lap, potentially. Down through turn 4 goes the pack. Very disappointed drivers at True Racing. Gilles Vannelet, on his own, is going to salvage something with a class win, with Maxime Hassan behind him, Gianluca Giorgi, and then Klaus Angerhofer. And it's going to give Stefan Rattel a podium, isn't it? Second in Pro-Am, this, with his best result of the season. So it's a depleted pack, sad to say. All this real estate at Paul Ricard, all of this runoff area, and yet late race, cars managing to collide with each other. Look down onto that Mistral straight. Another look here at what happened between Brabham and Audi. And around went the Brabham, and Peter Gulick has committed to the corner, and he's just got nowhere to go. Bang! It's a huge hit, that, because Gulick is accelerating through the corner. Massive, massive hit. what it does do is show how strong the Brabham is. Kevin Wheeler okay, despite that being very, very close, of course, to the driver's door, right on that front corner. So there the cars head up towards Senior. Into the right-hander they will come. And 3.5 minutes on the clock. It's looking very Le Mans now, isn't it, as the light fades, or very Spa 24 Hours as the light fades and the lights on GT cars shine through. This is the corner that we lost the KTM at, but the road is there clear. So as the yellow lights continue to flash, it is Audi, KTM, Audi, Porsche, KTM, Audi. That's the order right now, with Nicolas Salines heading for the championship. 5 wins, more than anybody else in Pro-Am. This is another look at, right, Sladecka has gone through against Rustica, but they've made contact in the past by the look of it. And damage on the back of the Audi, damage to the KTM, enough to put it out there and then. Rustica limps round to the pit lane, but looked as though perhaps in the dive, the KTM made contact with the Audi, and the damage enough to put them both out of the race in that one move that started just out of view. So the fans are happy. They're busy watching themselves on the big screens that are around the circuit. And we are about to start the last lap, and it's going to finish either behind the safety car or purely with a ceremonial run to the line, because there is less than a safety car lap time left in the race now. So it's not the ideal way to finish a championship, but it takes the pressure off Nicolas Salines. The safety car will be in this time, but all they can then do is drive out of the Virage du Pont and up towards the timing line. So it's going to be a title for the Audi, provisionally. Even allowing for the fact that the KTM hasn't finished this race. It did take a third earlier on in the day, so it still would end up dropping more points here than it would from dropping the 8 that it scored at Imola. So it still doesn't help it in the championship, even with the drop score rule. So huge disappointment for the KTM team. There is Maxime Hassad, who is not going to be given a chance to have a go at Gilles Vannelet. He's going to be on his tail, but you can't overtake until you get to the timing line, and that's where the checkered flag will be. So it will be safety car peel in, drivers turn out of the last corner and up towards the line. And that's going to be the end, it would appear, to the race, and therefore to this season of Fanatec GT2 European Series racing. It's given us some really good action all year, some lively racing, some good battles up and down the classes. Again, a real mix of people coming to take part. So the cars through the chicane. The safety car will peel in this time, and then it will be the drive to the flag. So Nicolas Salines and Stinus Longin set for the win from Gilles Vannelet, who is set for honours in the AM class. Second of the AMs will be the Hassads. Third of the AM, Gianluca Giorgi and Alessandro Baccani. In Pro-Am, it's going to be Salines and Longin to win from Stefan Rattel and Luca Piri. And that's it. Just those two will finish. And actually, they're going to bookend the order, perversely. So Audi 1, Audi 6, through they come. The clock has hit 0. The cars preparing themselves to accelerate away. But it is going to be to the flag. But this is where Nicolas Salines needs to make sure he does not make a single mistake. In a moment, he will blast his way up towards the line and take the checkered flag and take a championship. So the Audi partnership with 5 wins then are going to come through. Gilles Vannelet is going to score a maiden win in the KTM in the class in the AMs. And we are about to have the cars accelerate to the timing line then. So number 11 Audi will come through, up towards the line. Through they come, the clock at 0, over the line they come. And there's the checkered flag to confirm the championship for Stinus Longin and for Nicolas Salines as they come across the line. Gilles Vannelet takes the AM category with 2nd overall, and Maxime and Henri Hassan finish in third to be the second crew home in class. And there is delight up and down the pit lane. But for the PK Car Sport team, it is a victory in the championship and a race win. That's a 6th of the year to round it out for Stinus Longchamp and for Nicolas Salines. Stinus is a very happy man. His father, who you've just seen there in the background, very happy as well. So that tells you everything you need to know. P1 for Stinus Longchamp, and here the man behind the wheel of the car, Nicolas Salines, winners of race 2, winners of the championship as well, here at Paul Ricard. So a job well done, no question about it. And from a season that didn't necessarily start all that well, but they did get a win in the second round at Imola. There was then a bit of a fallow patch with 3 races won by others before they fought back. But ahead when it matters, and a delighted Anthony Kumpen, for many, many years Bert Longchamp's co-driver in FIA GT. His sister is Max Verstappen's mum, incidentally. He goes to celebrate with the PK Car Sport team. We need Anthony Kumpen back racing in this as well, because he was always a great character in FIA GT days, Anthony Kumpen. So you can see where the good racing stock comes from. Right, Nicolas Salines will bring the car round then to Parc Fermé. He will be an absolutely delighted winner, an absolutely delighted champion, no question about it. Hassans will be very, very pleased indeed with another class win. Kevin Wieder rather less so, and of course Anders Fjordbach rather less pleased as well after all of his hard work in that first stint. Incident between number 15, which is Sladecka, and number 1 under review. Which incident was that? Anyway, incident between cars 15 and 1 under review. So the Brabham of Kevin Wieder and Anders Fjordbach, number 15 Philip Sladecka and Stefan Rossina, that's being reviewed. Interesting. Unless they mean number 5, which was the Audi that he got caught up with. But that's what we're being told. That is the second place car and the winning AM, Gilles Vannelet, giving something then for the KTM contingent to cheer for. And it is, correction, an incident between 15, the KTM, and indeed number 5 Audi under review. Stefan Rattel will be happy with the podium as he brings the Luca Piri run Audi down the pit lane. So Vannelet down the pit road. There's not much in GT racing. He's not raced over the years, but a good class win here. The Porsche we've not seen much of, but Gianluca Giorgi and Alessandro Baccani take 3rd in class, 3rd in GT2 AM. And there the cars arrive at the foot of the Parc Fermé building as out steps the new champion, Nicolas Salines, along with Stinus Longchamp. Very, very happy indeed. It might have been an easy stint in a sense with those safety car laps, but as his co-driver, Stinus Longchamp, absolutely delighted as the pair of them start to celebrate. The photographers want them on top of the car. Proud Belgians with the flag. And now Nicolas Salines needs to sort of undress himself, really. Get his crash helmet off for the photos. Stinus Longchamp can't wait to start the celebrations. This could be one very messy party tonight. Yes, baby. Where's the nearest Belgian beer bar? Anthony Kumpen arrives to say well done. And they will head to the podium very shortly. But a great drive by Stinus Longchamp, Nicolas Salines. And Bert Longchamp arrives to congratulate Nicolas as well. So, a very proud dad. It's good to have Bert Longchamp back racing as well. Think back to days with Chrysler Vipers and Chevrolet Corvettes. Always very, very competitive, along with Anthony Kumpen. And as I say, we could do with Anthony being back on one of these grids as well. But now that he's had a look at this weekend, he might be tempted. So the drivers will head to the podium very shortly. And then we can celebrate champions, with that being the final race of the season. Other categories have a race tomorrow, but GT2 done and dusted for the weekend here. So there, Nicolas Salines still hasn't got around to taking off his crash helmet. That will come. Helmet off, balaclava off. Winners' hats will be presented in a moment, although Stinus Longchamp regularly wants to keep his own hat on. Liquid on board. More smiles for cameras.
Yes, baby!
And a delighted Nicolas Salines then celebrates not only another race win, but also a championship title to go with it. Now the discussion about the race begins between the pair of them. So the end of 50 minutes of racing, interrupted by that safety car period. A race win for Nicolas Salines and for Stinus Longchamp. Second to Gilles Vannelet in the KTM, and with it, of course, the AM class win. Henri Hassad and Maxime Hassad third overall, second in AM ahead of Gianluca Giorgi and Alessandro Baccani, and they also head to the AM podium for third. Fifth overall, Klaus Angerhofer and Hubert Trunkenpolz, another AM car, but sixth and therefore second in Pro-Am, Stefan Rattel and Luca Piri. Aurelius Rustica and Michael Vergers didn't get to the end, nor did the very badly damaged Brabham of Kevin Wieder and Anders Fjordbach. That car again eliminated in the incident that took out Peter Gulinx and Bert Longchamp, and Philippe Sladecka and Stefan Rossina. We had lost a lap before, that car getting embroiled with Aurelius Rustica over at the Le Beausset long right-hander. So that the order. Two, sadly, not making it into the race, which was a big, big disappointment. But now the drivers make their way to the podium, and we look forward to seeing how the Fanatec GT2 European Series looks next year, with hopefully many of the drivers that have been dipping in and out of it this season coming back with a commitment for a full year. Let's have a look then at the highlights of that final race of the season. It all began with Anders Fjordbach converting pole position into the race lead on the run down towards turn one, with a very committed Stefan Rossina trying to go with him, squeezing up on the inside line and taking over second place. Off the road ran Stinus Longchamp, but he was able to regroup, stay ahead of his father Bert Longchamp over the opening lap of the race. As the battle raged on for the championship and for second place, there was this move by Stinus Longchamp up the inside all over the curb, took the bollard out, muscled his way up past the KTM, but then handed the place back later in the lap. There was this rather worrying puff of smoke as well from the back of the Audi, but through on the inside line went Stefan Rossina. He retook second, only for Longchamp to fight back and retake it once more. But while all that was going on, so Anders Fjordbach was building the lead. This was the move that secured it for the Audi on the inside. Longchamp Jr. moving himself up past Rossina. With a monster advantage into the pit lane came Anders Fjordbach, but it was a really slow pit stop, and it cost that car a huge amount of time. It meant that the number 11 Audi took over the race lead, and Philippe Sladecka was on his toes trying to get through the traffic. He tried to make a move against Kevin Wieder in the Brabham to no avail into the chicane, but a lap later he would have another go, and this would make it work. The Brabham off the road and back on again, hanging on to the place. And then there was this contact, having got past the Brabham. Drama for Philippe Sladecka with Aurelius Rustica. It put the KTM out of the race, and it also meant that through to retirement would go Rustica with damage in the Audi. Then Kevin Wieder had this spin and was collected very solidly by Peter Gulinx. Two more late race retirements. That meant there was going to be a safety car period, and that effectively took us to the checkered flag. Philippe Sladecka out of the race as well, massively frustrated. But up front, it was Nicolas Salines behind the safety car who would come through to the checkered flag and take the race win and take the championship as well. Am honours to Henri Hassad, Pro-Am title then to Nicolas Salins and to Stinas Longin at the end of a great season of Fanatec GT2 European Series racing. So that is the completion of Fanatec GT2 European Series for this season, and there'll be more great action to come next year. For now, from Paul Ricard, it's goodbye.